Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday evening Parent Academy webinar session. Thank you for joining, and again, we're excited to have you as audience listeners and participants. I am Tina Folston Hayes, the Parent Academy Specialist for Educational Equity and Outreach for the Alachua County Public Schools, and I welcome you this evening. Tonight, we will receive some helpful information from Ms. Petra from the Cook Center, and she's going to provide us with some information on our parenting styles. And so just before we begin, I would like to review some housekeeping elements. Please keep your microphones on mute through the duration of the presentation. We will be monitoring your questions accordingly. Please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your webinar window. And please note that all Parent Academy webinars are closed captioned, recorded, and posted to our website for access at a later date or re-review for any individuals who could not tune in live tonight. If there are any questions that you need to ask personally, you can email the Parent Academy at parentacademy@gm.sbac.edu, and we will get those questions answered. Also, Ms. Petra is going to use Menti, and so just be prepared to have your cell phones or other device out so that way she'll be able to give you the information on how to do that. And then without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce to you Ms. Petra. Nice to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much, Tina, for having me, and welcome everyone. My name is Petra Wosu, and I'm going to be the Impact Manager here tonight to kind of walk you guys through tonight's session. And so without further ado, Tina mentioned, you are going to go to menti.com, either using your phone, or you can go to menti.com. I'm going to put the website in there that has instructions for you, and I'm actually going to start the slide. You can scan that QR code if you'd like. And then the code is there. So I'll give you guys maybe a few seconds to kind of get started on that. And so I also want to mention, we will be participating using Menti tonight, and it's interactive. So I encourage you guys to participate if you'd like. We want to make this comfortable for you all, so feel free to participate. This is anonymous, so your names will not be listed or anything. And as Tina mentioned, we want to keep it noise-free in a confidential environment. All right, so let's get started. Okay. So before we really dive in tonight, I want to get to know you all a little bit better. If you can, using Menti, go ahead and just answer and see, do you have elementary school kids, maybe middle school, high school, or maybe they overlap. You have a mixture in all of those categories. And once you've made your selections, let's test this out. You're going to go ahead and hit the submit button. And as you can see with Menti, you're able to see all of the answers and responses live. And so I see right now that it looks like we have some folks that are in elementary school, which is cool. All right, thank you. So if you don't mind, please share, what are you hoping to learn this evening? What insights are you eager to gain tonight? Or what are your most pressing concerns? So take out your phones again using Menti to share your thoughts with us. Tonight's session isn't just an opportunity to learn from Dr. Skinner or myself, but also from one another. So your hopes and concerns may resonate with other parents here, making this a valuable space for mutual learning. All right. And as you all can see the responses there, I see how to mentor kids at home, parenting style. Okay. As the saying goes, to bring up a child in the way they should go, travel the path yourself. So we've all encountered this timeless wisdom, emphasizing the paramount importance of being role models for our children. This expression can be tracked all the way back to the 1880s, yet its roots delved even deeper into ancient teachings. So, with that being said, it underscores that our children keenly observe not only our actions, but also our responses to highs and lows. They are sponges in absorbing everything that we do and say. So I have the pleasure of introducing to you Dr. Kevin Skinner, who serves as the clinical director of parentguidance.org. Dr. Skinner holds a PhD in marriage and family therapy and is a licensed marriage and family therapist, bringing extensive expertise to our discussion. In addition to maintaining a thriving private practice, he is a renowned global trainer for therapists and has been prominently featured in esteemed publications like Psychology Today. Dr. Skinner is also at the forefront of our online course offerings that I will share with you at the end of our training here. So ensure you are fully immersed in the virtual experience by confirming your audio connection as I prepare to play our first video.
Parenting with principles, or principle-based parenting. Really, this comes from something I learned clear back when I was working on my dissertation. My dissertation was on parenting styles, and we looked at the ways specifically that parents influenced their children. So today, I want to introduce you to strategies of what effective parents did to lead to good outcomes in their children. There are certain parenting styles that reduce depression, increased productivity in grades, and reduce delinquency. I believe that these principles, if applied in our parenting, are simply going to make us better. And it's based upon research. So what I'm now going to share with you is some strategy or some strategies that you can use to effectively parent. They work. They've been proven to work. And what's interesting is they work in multiple cultures. I actually did mine with Chinese adolescents in the United States and Canada. Their families had come to America or Canada, and I did it with second generation or first generation, depending on how you look at it, Chinese immigrants. And the same results as children who grew up here in the United States held true. So I'm going to talk with you about what parents can do to increase the positive things and decrease delinquency and depression.
All right, so tonight we are going to talk about 3 dimensions or components of parenting styles. First one, parental warmth. What is it and how are you doing? Behavioral control. We will talk about 5 questions you can ask yourself to assess whether you are controlling your child. We will then talk about how much control is too much. Where is that fine line between controlling your child and being a concerned parent? And finally, we will learn about psychological control and how to reduce that type of control. So the 3 dimensions of parenting styles we're going to talk about are parental warmth, as I mentioned, behavioral control, and psychological control. So now we are going to listen to Dr. Skinner as he explains what parental warmth is, and then we will take an informal quiz to assess our own levels of parental warmth.
So I'm going to ask you to take a little short quiz here as I go through these questions, because these are the questions that the researchers asked adolescents about their experience with their parents. All right, so now we're going to look at parental warmth. Now, parental warmth, there's some questions here that I'd like you to look at. First, we asked adolescents, it makes me feel better after talking over my worries. How often does that happen in relationships? My parent smiles at me very often. My parent is able to make me feel better when I'm upset. My parent enjoys doing things with me, cheers me up when I'm sad, gives me a lot of care and attention, makes me feel like the most important person in their life, believes in showing love to me, often praises me, and is easy to talk to. Those questions were identified as parental warmth. Now, what was the outcome? My research and researchers throughout the world have found that this is the outcome when parental warmth scores were high. In other words, it was happening. First, it helped in cognitive development, meaning that intellectually they were able to flourish intellectually. It also helped with creativity, conformity, meaning that they were willing to conform to the guidelines in school or other settings. They were more likely to have moral behavior. They had higher levels of self-esteem. They had positive educational outcomes. They had less depression. And the more parental warmth was available, it buffered these adolescents against mood-lowering effects of stressful life events. Parental warmth had influence in all of these areas. Now, it may sound like a simple thing, but go back and review those questions. Let's look at this slide one more time of some of those questions. My parent makes me feel better after talking over my worries. My parent smiles at me. Remember in the beginning when I talked about the basic needs of children? When our parent smiles at us, we detect that they're pleased with us. They enjoy doing things with me. They're connecting. Makes me feel like I'm the most important person in their life. Praises me, is easy to talk to. These are the environment where children thrive. If we really want to help our children, that parental warmth, those specific behaviors have been found to be effective. So how did you do? I look at these questions and think I could be better. We're not going to shame ourselves because we haven't been, but if we want to be successful in our parenting with warmth, those are 11 ways that we can do so.
All right, now that we've delved into parental warmth, let's engage in a reflective exercise together. Imagine your child responding yes to each item from Dr. Skinner's list as they think about you. If you have multiple children, concentrate on the one who comes to mind most vividly. Here's the key. We want you to be candid with yourself as you go through this process. It's normal to feel a bit uneasy during self-reflection, but remember this exercise isn't about guilt. It's a valuable opportunity to identify areas where you can enhance your parenting. Sometimes, despite good intentions, we may fall short in practice. So let's honestly explore how we can improve our parental warmth. So I'm going to go through the list slowly so you have time to do the quiz, okay? So the first one, makes me feel better after talking over my worries. 2, smiles at me very often. 3, is able to make me feel better when I am upset. 4, enjoys doing things with me. 5, cheers me up when I am sad. 6, gives me a lot of care and attention. 7, makes me feel like the most important person in their life. 8, believe in showing love for me. 9, often praises me. And then 10 is easy to talk to. Now count up your points and share your score on your phones in Menti. You guys a few seconds to count up scores. Okay. Sharing now, you guys can see. Now, based on the points you've just tallied, let's collectively explore where we stand on the parental warmth scale. Rest assured, this sharing is entirely anonymous, so your individual results will remain confidential. It's important to understand that there is no definite answer, right or wrong answer here. This is a moment for introspection and an opportunity for you to be open to discuss how we express and cultivate parental warmth in our lives. Okay. While some individuals naturally exude warmth and approachability, others may find it necessary and deliberately to be able to cultivate these qualities, as they might not come as effortlessly. So we've just discussed how crucial parental warmth is for our child's social, relational, and interpersonal development. For those who don't naturally feel this warmth, I encourage you to take a moment to jot down a few specific actions you can take to initiate the process of building more parental warmth with your child. Here are some practical suggestions to get you started. So first, number one, share more smiles with your child. A simple heartfelt smile can go a long way in nurturing your connection. Engage in meaningful conversations. Take dedicated time to converse with your child, building rapport, strengthening your relationship. And then number three, allocate quality time. Spend moments engaging in activities with your child. Maybe try focusing on their joy rather than the distractions of everyday life. Now, personally, I understand these steps may be easier said than done, but the act of reflecting on them can pave the way for significant improvements in your relationship with your child. So now in the upcoming section, we will explore the concept of behavioral control. It's important to understand that as parents, we can only control our own actions. One of the key aspects of effective parenting is asking questions. Gaining insight into our children's activities and their social circles is paramount.
All right, the next part that we look at in parenting styles is behavioral control. Now, sometimes behavioral control can be a negative thing or it can be a positive thing. So we're going to look at it in both ways, but here are 5 questions that we looked at for behavioral control. The first question, knowing who your friends are. And the question was really administered to adolescents, but it was really saying, do your parents know who your friends are? Do they know where you go at night? Or do they know how you spend your money? What do you do with your free time? And where you are most afternoons? Now, what's interesting here is parents who were aware of these things, they experienced the following outcomes with their children. One is that the parents were monitoring them, which actually reduced delinquency, which is obviously a good thing. It also helped them recognize that they were going to be supervised, that their behaviors mattered. Now, there can be a crossover point here that we really don't talk about a lot, and that is where I'm too demanding. I have to be too controlling. And what they found in this, and it's an interesting balance here, it's good to supervise, but it is not to be intrusive or demanding. And really, the balance there can be a very close one in terms of outcome. So as parents, we want to supervise, we do want to monitor, but we also want to allow flexibility.
So one of the things that I want to highlight here that Dr. Skinner, made, parents who actively keep an eye on their child's activities can greatly decrease the chances of them engaging in delinquent behavior. So even though children may not always show it, they both need and appreciate boundaries. And when we keep a watchful eye on our child's actions, we communicate our care and concern for them. So knowing that as a parent is monitoring their behavior can positively influence a child's actions. We all share deep concern for our children's well-being, but the way we express the concern can vary. Are you the type of parent who meticulously tracks every detail of your child's life, even when they are, or maybe even after they enter college? Or do you maintain a regular and non-intrusive connection with them while staying informed about their activities? It's worth considering how we balance care and independence in our parenting approach. So I encourage you to reflect on encounters with micromanaging bosses. How did it make you feel? Now, consider it, or maybe if you might want to consider if you might apply a similar approach with your child, being overly demanding or micromanaging. Recognize that monitoring and being aware of your child's activities generally yield better results than excessive control. The goal isn't to dominate, but to influence their decision-making. So through monitoring, you want to guide them to make aligned decisions, reducing the chance of rebellion. Children and adults learn through experience, and we can foresee their paths, but it's valuable to let them explore within safe limits. Finding the balance between monitoring and control is key. All right, so are you confident about your knowledge of your child's friends, activities, and whereabouts during their free time? Do you understand their afternoons and evenings? Imagine a visual concept as you see here. Picture a mountain representing your level of involvement in your child's life. At the very mountaintop there, you have a hands-off parenting style, offering significant freedom. And at the bottom, in the reflection area, you maintain a very tight control over most aspects of your child's life. To assess your current position in behavioral control, I want you to place a dot on this image in Menti. So for those who joined, please join Menti. The code is at the top there. And if you want to answer the question, you can. If your answers to the questions leave you uncertain or hovering between different levels of involvement, you can still place your dot in the sky to symbolize openness, maybe willing to explore your current parenting style. And as we can see, all of our responses are live, so you can see where people are placing their dots. Behavioral control is the second dimension of parenting styles that we are exploring. There are times when managing our own emotions become challenging, particularly in the midst of emotional charged situations. Consider this. When circumstances as parents don't unfold as planned, how do you respond? It's vital to remind ourselves of the significance of allowing our children the space to navigate their own decisions. This enables them to learn the valuable life lessons that you and I also had to discover independently. How much control is too much? To better understand the delicate balance between monitoring and demanding in parenting, we're now going to turn to Dr. Skinner for insight. He can shed light on where the fine line lies and what can transpire if we happen to cross it and slide into a more controlling approach.
If we're too demanding, our adolescents in particular can feel controlled, and when they feel too controlled, they're likely to resist that control. A friend of mine a few years ago was in Jerusalem, and he observed as he was driving up through the Kidron Valley that a man apparently had purchased a goat. And he observed that the goat was fighting against being taken by this person. And so he drove up the Kidron Valley thinking, oh, that was kind of interesting. Well, when he came back towards Jerusalem, back through the Kidron Valley, he noticed that that man, a couple hours later, was still dragging that goat out of the Kidron Valley. Now, the point is this. When we drag somebody against their will, we normally get that kind of resistance. The best parenting that we can have is to monitor and to supervise out of love, not out of being controlling. Overly controlling parents did not get positive outcomes. In fact, many times what we found is that overprotective, over-demanding created a resistance and got the opposite outcome of what they wanted. It has been linked to negative adolescent outcomes, including demanding and directive, but not responsive. So we expect our orders to be obeyed without explanation. So there's a distinctive difference. We do want to monitor, we do want to supervise, but we want to make sure that we're doing so with parental warmth, not to be controlling. And it's especially bad if we don't have parental warmth and we have that behavioral control that's just demanding. The research is just plenty. If you're low on parental warmth, high on this behavioral control demandingness, you're not going to get the outcomes that you want in your children. So it's something to evaluate.
All right. So early in my parenting journey, I had the privilege of attending a parenting class that was focused on a valuable lesson, which was the art of offering your child choices. And so it's about empowering your child to have a voice, even when the options presented are the ones you pre-selected. So you might say to your child, would you prefer this or that? Which one suits you better? So for instance, have toddlers who often, relish a sense of independence. You might ask, do you want to wear this red shirt or blue shirt today? This approach allows them to experience a degree of somewhat control, all while ensuring that you are kind of encouraging them to be properly dressed. So while the scenarios and responses naturally evolve as they grow, the core principle remains constant. So now, using your mentee, I would love for you to share an example of parental control with love. And this is an opportunity for you to connect again through mentee and to see what other participants have to say. But have you ever encountered a moment of parental guidance delivered with love, or maybe that led to a child making a healthier choice or preventing a potential meltdown? It could be a personal experience where a situation previously ended in tears. So let's explore instances where parental control has been effective. So as you can see, we are waiting for responses. So using your Mentee app, you can go ahead and participate, and let's see what we all have to say so we can learn from one another's experience. Awesome. Convince the child to wear warm clothing in cold weather. I also see someone, what to eat. I offer different types of vegetables or fruit, but make sure they eat one or the other daily. That's my struggle daily with the vegetables and the fruit. Okay. So now let's take a deeper dive into the third dimension of parenting style we are learning about, which is psychological control, or more importantly, reducing psychological control.
Now, the final part that we looked at actually had to do with psychological control. Now, this is just not a positive thing. I'm going to go through those questions in a minute, but it really is a mental game with the child. They're trying to determine what you're thinking and who you are and what's going on in your mind. Here are the questions that we asked the adolescents. My parent changes the subject when I have something to say, blames me for other family members' problems, brings up my past mistakes when they criticize me, and they often interrupt me. We found that those forms of psychological control, not feeling heard, being blamed, not being understood, led to outcomes that were very unhealthy. Mental health problems, depression, anxiety, feeling unloved has a tremendous negative influence. So these are the things that we want to eliminate. If we find ourselves as parents doing those things, not hearing them, not listening to them, criticizing them, those are some things that we can do that are going to harm our children and not create the outcomes that we want. Now, if you find yourself doing some of those psychologically controlling things, it's time to change. And I know that may sound bold and blunt, but the reality is if you want your child to have the best outcomes, we need to stop and say, what am I doing? Now, if you're not doing those things, great. If you find yourself doing some of those things, you can be better. And that is really a summary of what I discovered in my dissertation. Yeah, I spent 2 years working on stuff like that and gathering it with adolescents from China. But what I found is parental warmth, behavioral monitoring, not behavioral control, and reducing any psychological control led to great outcomes. Now, as parents, we're always looking for things that work. Today, we've given you some tools and strategies, the parental warmth in particular, monitoring and supervision. These are the principles of what actually works.
Right. So to foster the best possible outcomes for your child, it's essential to pause and ask yourself, what am I currently doing? Is it yielding the desired results? And if not, consider adjusting your approach. When you're in the role of teaching your child, it's vital to convey your message without diminishing their spirit by repeating, the dwelling on past mistakes. They've already learned from those experiences. So instead, you want to guide and lead them with love and genuine concern. We've all encountered individuals who engage in mind games, but we recognize that such tactics don't really work effectively. So by minimizing psychological control, we can nurture a foundation of respect in our parent-child relationships. So just as we begin to grasp our child's behavior, they transition into new developmental stages, bringing forth fresh challenges for both them and us. To gain deeper insights into your child and distinct developmental phases they undergo, we offer age-specific courses tailored different age groups. And I'd like to recommend 4 courses from parentguidance.org that pretty much delve deeply into the unique dynamics of each developmental stage. The best part about this is that these courses are accessible and free for free, available 24/7. So you have access and the flexibility of selecting the course that aligns with your current needs. Okay. Tonight, we've engaged in meaningful discussion covering these essential topics. Parental warmth. We've explored the remarkable benefits it brings to our children. 2, behavioral monitoring. We've examined the fine balance between monitoring and controlling our child's activities. And 3, reducing psychological control. We've highlighted the significance of avoiding mind games, reframing from blaming our children, and not dwelling on their past mistakes. Dr. Skinner has reminded us that it's never too late to make positive changes in our parenting journey. So if you are seeking further guidance or assistance, I encourage you to explore the available resources at your convenience. Please keep in mind that these outcomes are rooted in extensive research by Dr. Skinner and others. They've identified strong correlations when a child-parent relationship excels in parental warmth, behavioral monitoring, and awareness, while maintaining a low level of psychological control. Across various cultures, children who have had the privilege of experiencing such relationships have shown the capacity to thrive across multiple domains and exhibit increased resilience in the face of life's inevitable challenges. All right. So at the Cook Center for Human Connection, we are driven by the mission of bringing together resources that have demonstrated effectiveness in creating the human connections, which are vital for strong mental wellness. One of those resources happened to be parentguidance.org. It's a free resource backed by therapists who share different courses for parents on mental health topics. You should have a link on your phone in Menti. If you would like, you can explore further. And I'm actually going to go live now on the parentguidance.org. Just give me 1 second. All right, so you all should be able to see my screen here as I'm going through to see the different tabs. And so we have parent coaching, on-demand courses, and then Ask a Therapist tab. All right, and so I am going to show you all a few things here. Just bear with me. All right. So the first tab, parent coaching. Looks like you guys have access to this. So the cool thing about this is that you have the ability to reach out to a coach and apply for a coach. You have access for one-on-one coaching, is virtual, and they can pretty much talk to you and kind of guide you through your parenting journey. And I mean, anything that you may be struggling with, whether it be helping your child succeed or bullying, depression, those type of things. This is where you want to, maybe learn how to go about helping your child. And also how to help you as a parent kind of guide your child through these situations. And so these options are available in both Spanish and English at the moment. And you can get started. It's available on smartphone devices. And so, as I mentioned, it's one-to-one. You can meet weekly. You guys can make your schedules, bi-weekly phone video calls, whatever works best with your schedule. You and your coach can work on that. The on-demand courses, we have over 50 courses here. As I mentioned, these are some of the subjects. And the plus I think of this is in the day and age of just being flexible, you have the option of starting a course and not being required to finish it right then and there. So if you need to stop, pause, make dinner, or if you have extracurriculars that you need to attend to with your kids, you can go to that and then attend back to this. So definitely encourage you to explore the courses here. All right. And then Ask a Therapist is one of my favorite ones. Give me 1 second. There we go. I like this one because you get to see questions asked by other parents, and then you also get to view their answers. And I like that because I feel like as parents, I can only imagine, a lot of us have some similar questions. And so I encourage you to explore this. Like, for example, let's see, my teenage son is disengaged at school. He says that all subjects and the teachers are stupid. View the answer. You can view the answer, and here's Dr. Skinner. And you can hear him talk about this or answer this question. Or let's say you don't want to hear anything, you want to read verbatim. Everything that he's saying has been transcribed there for you to read. And then the cool thing here now is you can submit a question yourself. And so all of this is anonymous. So your name and things won't be posted, but I think it's just a great tool and resources to see, well, what are other parents asking that you might be going through? Or maybe you don't have the right verbiage or words to ask the question. Ask a Therapist is the tab that you want to go look into. Okay, so I'm going to go back here. So as we prepare to close this evening, just out of curiosity, what are a few things that you will remember from tonight's conversation? Take a minute and maybe just share something that you took away. If you weren't able to access Menti, feel free to use the chat box. You can also share your response there if you prefer to do it that way. Okay, I see that this service is offered for ACPS parents. Okay, going to parentguidance.org, strategies to minimize control. Okay, Thank you so much for sharing. So as you can see, here is your next event that you have coming up. And so you all actually register through the link that your district will provide you. And so from there, you will be having the training or your session at 6 o'clock. Looks like on the 14th of next month, which happens to be, we're entering December tomorrow, actually. So in a couple of weeks, you guys will join us and we'll talk about social media and protecting your child. All right. And so again, I just like to extend a special thank you to your administrators. Tina, thank you so much for making our partnership possible and for offering these valuable resources to your families. Thank you for making the time out of your busy schedule this evening to be here with us. The Cook Center for Human Connection and Parent Guidance are dedicated to helping parents support their children's and well-being. So thank you all again, and we appreciate your involvement in making this happen.
Thank you so much. We appreciate all of the knowledge and information you brought to our families. We really appreciate it. And if they need to get in contact with you all, they just go to parentguidance.org.
Parentguidance.org for the resources. And then also too, I think you guys are recording, so then you will follow up and send the recording, correct? Yep.
Yes. Well, thank you. So I'll go ahead and close us out. Thank you again for everyone joining us on Zoom tonight. We appreciate your participation. Each week, you are available to connect with us for more informative presentations and discussions. Once again, I am Tina Foston-Hayes, the Parent Academy Specialist for Educational Equity and Outreach for the Alachua County Public Schools. And I look forward to seeing you back here on next week, Thursday at 6 o'clock. And without holding you all any longer, you're going to have a wonderful night. Thank you again.
Bye-bye. Have a good evening.
Bye.